You ever stared at the overflowing recycling bin on most mornings wondering if your efforts really make a difference? Or maybe you have felt that familiar dread replacing a perfectly good appliance just because one small part broke? You're not alone. Our take, make, dispose system is broken. But imagine a world where waste is a forgotten word. Get ready to explore beyond recycling and discover true circular economy solutions. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Sustainability Side, the space where we go beyond buzzwords and get real about what's shaping our planet's future. I'm your host, Dr. SamaA, and today we are unpacking something you see every single day, but might not truly understand. Yeah, the recycling bin. We have covered the same in our past episodes as well. If you haven't listened, take a quick look here, or to check it, see our playlist. You know that satisfying feeling when you toss your plastic bottle into the blue bin or a green bin and then think, nice, I did my bit for the planet today. Well, what if I told you that feeling, that quick hit of eco-satisfaction might actually be the part of the problem? Yeah, today we are exploring the psychology of the recycling bin, and then we will take it even further by exploring how can we move beyond recycling altogether into something far more transformative, which is called the circular economy. So grab your coffee in your reusable cup preferably. We will take a moment for a small intro here, cause after that, let's talk about the systems, the psychology and the solutions that can actually fix the cycle we have been stuck into for decades.
Sing it loud, let's unite on the sustainability side. Feel the love day and night. Let's turn the tides, make a change today. Together we define our sustainable way with every step we take. We rise and glow on the sustainability side. Let the good vibes flow.
Hope you enjoyed our intro. Now let's be honest. Recycling feels good, right? It gives us that tiny dopamine hit that says, I'm doing something right. Researchers actually have a name for this. It's called moral licensing. Basically, it's when doing one good thing gives us permission subconsciously to do something not so good afterward. Like, I recycle my bottle, so maybe I can grab that takeaway coffee in a disposable cup. Sound familiar? As I have mentioned before, 91% of plastic never gets recycled. That's right. 9 out of 10 things we proudly sort, wash and bin don't make it through the system. So, our good deed, that moment when we drop a plastic container in the bin, is often a psychological band-aid. It makes us feel better, but it doesn't actually solve the problem. Now, that's not to blame any of us, because this wasn't an accident. It was designed that way. For decades, big corporations and packaging industries have pushed this idea that waste is a personal responsibility. You know the messaging. Do your part, recycle right, keep the planet clean. It sounds so empowering, but it's actually a clever deflection. By putting the burden on individuals, companies avoid changing the systems that create waste in the first place. It's like trying to mop up the floor while tap is still running. And this brings us to one of the biggest turning points in global recycling history, a movement that exposed just how fragile the system really is. Let's rewind to 2018, the year China said, enough. Through something called the National Sword Policy, China banned the import of contaminated recyclables, basically saying, we are not taking your dirty plastic anymore. Now, before that, countries like US and many in Europe had been shipping massive amounts of recyclables overseas and counting them as recycled. The problem? Most of the materials was mixed, dirty and hard to process. When China closed the doors overnight, recycling raised in US dropped from 8.7% to 5% because materials that were being shipped to China are counted as recycled were suddenly homeless. And suddenly the illusion shattered. This revealed an uncomfortable truth. We realized much of what we called recycling was actually waste export. We weren't solving the problem, we were outsourcing it. We were shipping our contaminated materials to countries with lower environmental standards and calling it recycling. And that's when things started piling up. Literally, cities saw overflowing facilities, municipalities began landfilling recyclables they couldn't process. The truth came out: recycling was never designed to handle the volume or complexity of modern waste. You see, this is the moment where our good intentions meet global reality. We have built entire economics on the idea of throwaway and then try to patch it with a bin concept. Either it's a blue or a green. And as waste keeps growing, that patch is tearing wider. Let's look at the numbers for a second because they are staggering. Global waste generation is projected to increase by 70% by 2050. That's nearly 3.8 billion tons of municipal solid waste every year. And get this, the United States, which makes up just 4% of the world's population, produce 12% of its municipal waste. That's about 951 kilograms of trash per person every single year. It's not just unsustainable, it's absurd. We are burying ourselves under the weight of our own waste, convincing ourselves that recycling will somehow dig us out. But here's where I want you to feel a spark of hope. Because what's emerging from this collapse of traditional recycling is something much more powerful, something revolutionary. Across the world, innovators, companies, and communities are realizing we don't need to just manage waste better. We can design systems that eliminate waste entirely. And here's the wild part, they are not just doing it for the planet. They are doing it because it makes business sense. So in our next section, we will dive into what beyond the bin really means and how the circular economy is transforming industries, cities, and even the way we think about success itself. Coming up after the break are the real stories and case studies from companies like Patagonia, Interface, and Signify, pioneers proving that doing good and doing well are not just opposites. Stick around, you are listening to the Sustainability Side and we are just getting started.
Watch this if you are someone struggling from diabetes. Balancing sugar levels often gets in the way of enjoying simple moments. Introducing Diavita, a herbal formula inspired by Ayurveda. It supports healthy sugar balance naturally so you stay active and independent. Because every step, every meal, every laugh matters. Take charge of your health with Diavita.
Alright, welcome back. If you have been with me since the start, we have just peeled back the layers of the recycling illusion. Now, it's time to look at what lies beyond bin. The system shift that quietly rewriting the rules of production, consumption, and even profit itself. It's called the circular economy, and honestly, it's one of the most exciting, hopeful moments of our time. So here's the big picture. For more than a century, our economy has followed one very specific, simple formula. Take, make, use, throw away. It's what we called a linear model and it worked for a while. Then we realized the planet isn't an infinite supply chain. The circular model flips the script. The circular economy operates on three revolutionary principles: design out waste and pollution, keep products and materials in use, and regenerate natural systems. This isn't about recycling better, it's about making recycling unnecessary. 75% of the businesses now recognize circularity as important. Upfront, 75% of the businesses now recognize circularity as important. Up from just 40% 3 years ago. 75% of the businesses now recognize circularity as important, up from just 40% 3 years ago. But recognition is just the beginning. Circular model is not about better waste management, it's about designing waste out entirely. What if everything recreated was built to stay in use? What if every product was designed with its next life already in mind? That's the shift from end to life thinking to endless life thinking. And it's not just theory, it's already happening all over the world. Let me show you what truly circularity looks like when it's complemented at scale with the real world case studies. Let's start with a company we all know, Patagonia. Instead of pushing you to buy the newest jacket every season, they literally say, don't buy this jacket. They build their worn wear program to repair, resell, and recycle old gear. And it works. Patagonia has repaired over 5 billion pieces of clothing through worn wear. In 2024 alone, they repaired over 130,000 items. They have sold about 1 million items on their branded second-hand site. But here's the business genius. Extending a garment's life just by 9 months reduces its carbon footprint by 20 to 30%. Buying used garments can reduce an individual's carbon footprint by up to 60%, and 95% of worn wear customers reported increased brand loyalty because of the program. By standing for circular values, Patagonia turned repaired culture into an identity. It's cool to fix things again. And guess what? Their revenue has grown consistently since launching those programs. Proof the circular business isn't charity, it's a strategy. Now, if you think circularity only works for trendy outdoor brands, meet Interface, a global flooring company. In 1990s, their founder Ray Anderson had a wake-up call after reading Paul Hawkins' The Ecology of Commerce. He realized his company was part of an environmental problem and decided to flip it. Today, Interface produce carbon negative carpet tiles. Yes, the carpet that removes more than CO2 than they emit. But they don't start there. They are aiming to be a carbon negative by 2040. The results speak for themselves. 69% reduction in carbon footprint, 96% reduction in greenhouse gas emissions globally, 89% renewable energy use, and 92% reduction of waste to landfill. They do it through bio-based materials, closed-loop recycling, and renewable energy across manufacturing. Since 1996, Interface has cut greenhouse gas emission by 96% and reduced waste to landfills by 89%. The CEO once said, "We used to sell carpets, now we deliver flooring as a service." That's the essence of circular thinking, shifting from ownership to use-based models. Through their re-entry program, they take back used carpet tiles for recycling, creating a closed-loop system. Their networks initiative sources discarded fishing nets from coastal communities and transforms them into carpet packing, collecting over 224 tons of fishing nets while providing income to the coastal communities. They have developed the world's first carbon-negative carpet tile, a product that actually stores more carbon than was emitted in its production and use. This isn't theoretical, it's commercially available today. You are not buying a product, you are subscribing to a solution here. I'm going to share with you another great case study, which is called Signify, formerly Philips Lighting. They asked, why should customer own the lighting fixtures when what they really need is light? Instead of selling lighting fixtures, they sell illumination. Customers pay a monthly fee to light output while Signify retains ownership of all hardware through its life cycle. LED-based system can reduce lighting electricity consumption by 70%. And if the entire world adopted LEDs, lighting share of a global electricity consumption would drop to 8% by 2030. So they started selling lighting as a service. They keep ownership of the equipments, handling maintenance, and recycle or repurpose every component at the end of its life. The result? Up to 80% energy savings and materials for reuse, all while offering better lighting experience. This model is now being used in airports, offices, and even city infrastructure across Europe. It's proof that servitization, that shift from product to performance, can both profitable and sustainable. The circular brilliance is that because Signify owns the fixtures, they are incentivized to design products that last as long as possible and can be easily upgraded, repaired, or recycled. Now let's anchor those stories with a few key numbers. According to the Ellen MacArthur Foundation, adopting circular economic models could unlock 4.5 trillion in a global economic benefit by 2030. The Ellen MacArthur Foundation Circular Rights platform has over 2,000 companies signed up to measure their circularity economy performance. Companies are tracking metrics like percentage of virgin materials in material flow, percentage of products designed per circular principle, and percentage of revenue from circular services. The European Union Circular Economy Action Plan estimated that it could reduce industrial emission by 56% by 2050. And here's a business fact. Circular companies outperform their linear peers by up to 70% in resource efficiency and 30% higher customer retention. So yes, the data matches the dream. Let's simplify this movement into 3 easy to grasp ideas, okay? 1. Design out waste. Everything begins with the design. Can this product be taken apart easily, repaired, reused? If not, it's not circular. Second thing, keep materials in use, which is through repair, remanufacture, and recycling, materials stay in the system instead of becoming a pollution. Finally, the third one is called regenerate natural systems, which is don't just reduce harm, restore ecosystem through regenerative agriculture, renewable energy, and bio-based innovation. Together, these ideas form the backbone of the circular thinking, and they are inspiring thousands of startups, investors, and governments to act. Now let's see the base of these core principles in detail. First one being the design for disassembly revolution. All these case studies and examples shared a common foundation, which is design for disassembly. This means creating products that can be easily taken apart at the time of their useful life, which components and materials recovered for use. Deassembling products consumes less energy than grinding and melting materials for traditional recycling. When products are designed for disassembly, a component can often be reused directly without any reprocessing at all. Companies practice design for disassembly use standardization, reversible fasteners instead of permanent adhesives. They select materials that can be easily separated without contamination. They create modular designs where individual components can be replaced or upgraded without discarding the entire product. The second one being is like the service economy revolution. The shift from ownership to access is fundamental to circularity. Product as a service model aligns business initiatives with environmental outcome because companies make money by maximizing product lifespan rather than a sales volume. We see this transformation across industries: car sharing, clothing rental, cloud computing, industrial equipment leasing. Instead of selling products that become waste, companies provide services that maintain product in their highest and best use. Third one being the financial performance. The financial benefits of circular practices are becoming undeniable. Since 2020, circular industries have been growing 3.1 percentage points faster than linear industries. Circular native businesses have been growing up to 2x faster than linear competitors. A comprehensive study of European manufacturing firms found that every 1 point increase in circular economy index correlates with 0.152% increase in return on investment. These benefits strengthen over time with effect on ROI investing increasing to 0.225 percentage points with a 3-year lag. The global circular economy was worth approximately 339 billion in 2022, more than doubling from around 150 billion just a few years earlier. The Ellen MacArthur Foundation research with McKinsey showed that circular approaches could boost Europe's resource productivity by 3% by 2030, generating £6 billion in annual cost savings and £1.8 trillion in additional economic benefits. Now let's see the real-world circular examples across industries. H&M's Circular Innovation Lab supports startup developing sustainable materials, partnering with companies like Fairbricks, which captures CO2 emissions and converts them into polyester. TerraCycles specialize in recycling items traditional systems can't handle, operating brand-sponsored programs where companies like P&G and Unilever fund recycling for their packaging. Their Head & Shoulders bottles are made from recycled beach plastics, literally turning ocean pollution into consumer products. Irish businesses supported by circular economy grants are demonstrating that circular practices creates job and economic value while reducing environmental impact. Here's what's powerful about circular economic success. It creates network effects. When Patagonia proves that repair services build customer loyalty, other companies take notice. When Interface demonstrated that carbon negative manufacturing is profitable, other manufacturers investigate. When Signify shows that service models work, other industries adapt the approach. Each successful circular businesses makes it easier for the next one. Cities are leading this revolution. Amsterdam has a circular city plan aiming to be 100% circular by 2050. Finland has a national circular roadmap, integrated reuse and repair into every sector. And Kenya's jenge makers turn plastic waste into ultra-durable building bricks, literally transforming waste into homes. We are talking about economy that restores, not depletes. The investment community is taking notice. 184 financial investments were made in circular economy venture in 2023, a 42% increase from 2022. Investment volume growth is accelerating as investors recognizing that circular business models offer better risk profiles and higher long-term returns. Urban areas are becoming laboratories for circular innovation. Cities generate 85% of global GDP, account for 75% of natural resources consumption, produce 50% of the global waste, and generate 60 to 80% of the greenhouse gas emission. Their density of resource, capital, and talent makes them ideal testing grounds for circular solutions. The most exciting aspect of circular solution is their compound effect. Each particular practices make other circular practices more effective and economically viable. When companies design for disassembly, it makes recycling more efficient. When businesses offer repair services, it makes durable design more valuable. When communities support sharing models, it makes resources efficiency more attractive. This compound effect means we are approaching a tipping point where circular practices won't just be an environmentally responsible alternatives, they will be the dominant economic model because they are simply more effective, more resilient, and more profitable. But let's be real. Transitioning to circularity isn't just a technical shift. It's an emotion, cultural, psychological. It means redefining what we see as a value. It's asking, can something be valuable even if it's already been used? And that's a deep mindset change. So, when we talk about beyond the bin, it's not about guilty. It's about reimagination. Circularity isn't anti-growth, it's a smarter growth. It's an economy that thrives within planetary limits. And if we get this right, we will look back at landfills the way we now look at typewriters, relics of an outdated era. So far, we have uncovered the illusion of recycling and we have explored the power of circular thinking, how design, businesses, innovations are reimagining waste as a resource. But let's be honest, big systems can feel overwhelming. When we talk about cities, corporations, and global economies, it's easy to think, what can I possibly do? And that's what this part is all about, the human side of circularity. Because While systems create the conditions, people create the momentum. If you ask me, I would say systems change begins with the mindset. There is a great quote by Donella Meadows, one of the most respected system thinkers ever. She said, "The most powerful leverage point for change is in the mindset or paradigm out of the which the system arises." In other words, if we want to build a circular world, we first have to change the story we tell ourselves about growth, value, and ownership. For too long, we have been told the new equals better. That success is measured by how much we own, not how much we make things last. Circularity changes that. It says better means lasting longer, sharing more, repairing often, and designing with purpose. The most important insight from our journey today is the circular economy requires system thinking. Individual recycling behavior, while important, is just one small piece of much larger puzzle. Real transformation happens when we redesign the underlying systems that shape all our choices. And once that mindset shifts, the reset starts to follow in policy, in business, and in daily life. Let's talk policy for a second because governments play a huge role here. The European Union's extended producer responsibility policies require manufacturers to manage the full life cycle of their product, making companies like Interface and Patagonia not just environmentally responsible but economically competitive. 7 countries now have achieved separation for recycling rates of 90% or more: Finland, Japan, Norway, Germany, Taiwan, and Denmark. But these aren't just recycling success stories. They are the examples of policy systems that make circular choices the obvious choices. The European Green Deal, for instance, treats circularity as the key to both climate neutrality and economic resilience. By 2030, the EU aims to make all packaging recyclable or reusable, ban planned obsolescence, and expand right to repair laws so products last longer. These aren't just environmental moves, they are economic ones. The circular transactions could create over 7 lakh new jobs in Europe alone by 2030. The EU's 2090 target of 90% separate collection for recycling of single-use plastic bottles is driving innovation in product design, collection systems, and processing technologies. When policies align economic incentives with circular principles, remarkable transformations happen. Imagine that, a greener economy that employs more people, not fewer. And that's the kind of future we need to push for everywhere, in all across the globe, even in India, in Riyadh, in Nairobi, in Los Angeles, all across the country, all across the globe. Now let's zoom into the business world again. We have talked about leaders like Patagonia and Interface, but here's what's exciting. The circular economy startups are booming. According to the Circularity Gap report, investment in circular ventures grew by over 45% in the last 3 years. We are seeing biofabrication startups growth, mycelium leather for fashion, refill and reuse platforms like Loop, changing retail packaging, and AI-powered recycling robots sorting materials with 99% of accuracy. Being a technology as an enabler of circular systems solves a huge problem. AI-powered systems are helping identify and reduce contaminations in waste streams. Digital platforms connect businesses with waste materials they can use as inputs. Blockchain systems track materials through complex supply chains to enable better recovery and reuse. But technology alone isn't the solution. It's an enabler of better systems. The companies we have discussed succeeded not because they have the best technology, but because they used technology to support circular principles. This is technology redefined, not for faster consumption, but for smarter regeneration. And when companies see waste as value, innovation explodes. That's the sweet spot where profit meets purpose. Let's discuss the financial sector, which is like driving circular transformation through capital allocation. Over 2,000 companies are now using circulites to measure and improve their circular economy performance. Circular business models offer superior risk-adjusted returns. Companies with higher circular economy scores are seeing measurably better financial performance. This creates a virtuous cycle where circular practices become not just environmentally necessary but financially inevitable. So now you might be thinking, but what about us, the listeners, the everyday citizens? Here's the truth. Our choices create the social demand that drives systemic change. What this means for you? How do you participate in this transformation? Your role depends on your position, but there are pathways to impact for everyone. As a consumer, support businesses embodying circular principles. Buy from companies like Patagonia that offers repair services and take-back programs. Choose service-based models over ownership when possible. Prioritize quality and durability over low prices. When you buy used instead of new, you can reduce your carbon footprint up to 60%. Basically, go for the sustainable and eco-friendly product. And as a professional, what you can do? You can advocate for circular practices in your workplace. Whether you are in procurement, product development, operations, or leadership, you have opportunities to champion circular solutions. Ask suppliers about take-back programs, purpose product as a service models, measure and reduce waste streams. European companies implementing circular practices are seeing a 15.2% improvements in their ROI. So, as a community member, have you ever thought, what can we do? We can do a lot. We can support a local circular economy initiatives. This might be supporting, small repair shops, tool libraries, community sharing programs, or advocating for municipal policies that support circular businesses and infrastructure. And as an investor or an entrepreneur, you can make a big, change here. You can make a greater impact here. What you can do is you can recognize the circular business models represent enormous untapped opportunities. The circular economy was worth up $339 billion in 2022 and is growing rapidly every single year. Companies solving circularity challenges often create multiple revenue streams while reducing risk and building stronger customer relationships. An economy that says, enough with extraction, let's build regeneration. Now I get it. Individual action alone can't fix everything. But when millions act collectively, it shifts culture. Think of it like a system change is a pyramid. Okay? At the top, government set policy. In the middle, businesses innovate. But at the foundation, which is us, that's us. And when the base moves, the entire structure shifts. There are going to be challenges, let me be honest about challenges we face. Transitioning to a circular economy isn't just a matter of good intentions or better technology. It requires coordinated changes across regulatory frameworks, business models, consumer behavior, and an infrastructure system. TerraCycle's specialized recycling process are more energy intensive and expensive than traditional recycling. Not every circular solution is immediately economically viable without supportive policies or pricing that reflects true environmental costs. But these changes aren't arguments against pursuing circularity. They are roadmaps for the work that needs to be done. The companies we have discussed succeeded precisely because they tackled these challenges systematically and persistently. The urgency cannot be overstated. It's easier to be said than done. Global waste is expected to increase by 70% by 2050 under current linear models, but the global plastic use is projected to nearly double from 464 million tons in 2020 to 884 million tons by 2050. The e-waste generation is raising 5 times faster than recycling efforts. We don't have the luxury of incremental change, but here's the hopeful reality. We already know how to do this. The examples we have explored aren't theoretically possibilities. They are working business models generating real profits and real environmental benefits today. So let's discuss about the economic momentum behind this circularity. It is accelerating. This isn't it about sacrificing prosperity for sustainability. It's about recognizing that true prosperity requires sustainability. Another truth about circular economy is like that no one can do it alone. Of course, it thrives on partnerships between designers, engineers, educators, policymakers, and everyday people like you and me. In Amsterdam, circular startups share open data to accelerate innovation. In Kenya, waste pickers cooperatives are formally recognized as a part of the national recycling system. In Denmark, industrial symbiosis networks allows one company's waste to become another's raw material. That's the future. That's connected, collaborative, regenerative, and it starts with a simple question. Who else can I connect with to make my idea circular? Just imagine this, a city where nothing goes to waste, where your old sneakers become a new flooring and your used coffee grounds grow urban mushrooms for local restaurants, a place where products are leased, shared, and upgraded. Not just thrown away, where innovation regenerates instead of depletes. That's not a sci-fi. That's really happening in bits and pieces all over the world. The only question left is, how fast can we make it from the norm? How fast are we going to accept and adopt this? So as we wrap up this segment, I want to leave you with a thought. The circular economy isn't just a framework for sustainability. It's a metaphor for life itself. Because everything in nature, every cycle, every season, every system works in circles. Nothing is wasted, everything transforms, and maybe that's what we are learning to return to. Not invention, but reconnection. So as we have come to the end of today's journey, take a deep breath for a moment. We have traveled from the psychology of the recycle bin, that the little green box make us feel like heroes, to the vast systems that truly shape our world. We have met innovators turning waste into wealth and companies proving that purpose and profit doesn't just coexist, they enhance each other. Patagonia has repaired over 5 lakh pieces of clothing, proving that telling customers to buy less actually increase loyalty and profitability. Interface achieved carbon neutrality across their entire product lifecycle and is now working towards carbon negative operations. Signify transformed lighting from a product into a service, elimination waste while reducing customer cost. These aren't isolated examples, they are early indicators of the most significant economic transformations since the Industrial Revolution. The circular businesses are growing up to twice as faster as linear competitors. European companies implementing circular practices are seeing 15% improvements in ROI, which is return on investments. Investment in circular ventures increased up to like 42% in 2023, and 75% of the businesses now recognize circularity as important, up from just 40% 3 years ago. The circular economy challenges to move beyond managing waste towards eliminating waste altogether. It asks us to shift from ownership to access, from transactions to relationships, from extractions to regeneration. This transformation is already underway, driven not by environmentally guilty or regulatory requirements, but by the recognition that circular models are simply better business. They are more resilient, more profitable, and more aligned with what customers actually want. Your role in this transformation extends far beyond your recycling bin. Support business that embody circular principles. Advocate for circularity practices in your workplace. Invest in circular solutions. Champion policies that enable circular innovation. And through it all, one message stands clear. The circular future isn't coming someday. It's already here. Every repair, every refill, every product designed to last. That's a piece of a new economy being built right now. But this shift doesn't happen by accident. It happens because people like you, me, and everybody who are curious, conscious, and courageous decides to be the part of it. So let this be your takeaway today. The next time you hold something that's about to be thrown away, ask, what else could this be for? What else could this be? Because that single question is the seed of his circular mindset. The future is circular, the future is profitable, and the future is now. If today's conversation resonated with you, don't just stop at listening. Join our growing community at the Sustainability Side. You can follow us on all social media platforms. You can hear us and support us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. And if you like to go one step further and support us through Ko-fi or Patreon, where members get exclusive bonus episodes, deep dive toolkits, and behind the scene access to the sustainability strategies that actually work. You can also support us by joining our YouTube membership via Discord and LinkedIn groups. You can share your opinion, raise your volume, let every voice be heard, because sustainability isn't mine, it's ours. Together we are not just talking change, we are making it. Before you go, here's a little sneak peek of what's coming next. We are bringing in a very special guest, a leading expert in helping SMEs and small business transactions into circular models. We will dive into how entrepreneurs can go circular without going broke, how small-scale innovations are rewriting big industry rules, and the practical steps to make your business more resilient, profitable, and sustainable. Trust me, you don't want to miss this one. So, here on Sustainability Side, we don't just see problems, we see possibilities. Keep imagining a better way forward. As I said before, sustainability is not mine, it's ours. I'll be back soon with much more. Until next time, take care, stay tuned, stay curious and inspired only on the Sustainability Side.
Feel the joy, let's unite on the sustainability side. Making waves, shining light. From the city streets to the open skies, to